stages of that match from your perspective? What are you watching, by the way, over my shoulder?
I can see that. Oh. Yeah, it's unlucky.
Go on, give us your verdict on that then. What happened?
I hate them shout, but listen, these things unfortunately happen. Obviously, it was time to make it right, and luckily we did.
Yeah. How relieved, happy, whatever the right word is, how happy are you that you did go and make it right?
Well, finally, obviously, I think we had many set pieces. We trained a lot on it, and I tried to be important, and finally today I could score the winner. So, yeah, on to the next.
Okay. Mo, how are your nerves in the last few moments of that game?
I was on the bench. No, but
it's worse there, isn't it?
It's worse.
You can't help. You can't affect.
Outside, when you are outside, I think you feel it more. But I'm glad that we managed to win it in the end. It's the most important.
Yeah, actually injected quite a lot of emotion and drama into what had for a bit looked like being quite a straightforward afternoon.
Yeah, of course, it's a good team. To be fair, they have a good plan. They managed to play better in the second half. They managed to score. So I think in that stage, the most important thing is to win the game, and I think we did well in the last few minutes.
With the title at stake and with the new contract signed in the week, how determined were you to make a difference today, as you did with the assist? I know Virgil's had a go at you for only playing 60 minutes. Or what?
No, I think I'm glad that we managed to do that early before the end of the season, and hopefully Virgil also will be next. Well, I'm just saying hopefully. I didn't say
you're under the bus there, Virgil.
I'm just look, he can do whatever he wants, but I would love to see him again next year. But of course, he can choose whatever he wants in his future.
Hopefully, Virgil will be next. What can you tell us, Captain?
I can tell that I'm very proud today to captain my 100th game for Liverpool, and it was an emotional day because of obviously the Hillsborough anniversary. So that was the main focus: get 3 points and get a step close to all of our dreams, not only us as players, staff, but the whole. Everyone is connected to Liverpool FC, and that's the main thing. Everyone knows how much I love this club, and let's see what next week will look like.
You feel like you can almost touch it now, Mo? That title?
Yeah, we can say that now, to be fair. I think we're on the fans one, especially when we won it in a lockdown, so let's go for it and win it. That's the most important thing.
Okay, well played, both of you. Player of the match for a brilliant 60 minutes, Mo Salah. I know it was longer.
Another one, brother. Congrats, well deserved.
Thank you.
Well done, well done.
Yeah, man of the match this season has gone to either one of those two more often than not. But it was a mix-up with Virgil van Dijk and Andrew Robertson that led to West Ham getting back into the game.
Yeah, 1 second as well. Obviously, West Ham were threatening. I'm not sure who's to blame for this. Me and Les are looking at it. Does Andy Robertson need to come across there? He obviously looks really annoyed.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say there was because of his reaction here, he's almost, it seems like he shouted Van Dijk, I've got this. And Van Dijk's just got a touch and ended up putting it in the back of the net. But
well, if Van Dijk was to blame for that, then he certainly took responsibility and turned things around.
Nice little shove there, isn't there? I thought VR going to look at that, but obviously not. But you know what, Liverpool, what champions do, they find a way to win.
Roy, as you know, VAR is constantly looking and reviewing every situation, particularly those involving goal decisions. But what's interesting here is they very clearly kissed and made up, Andrew Robertson and Virgil van Dijk.
I mean, when you're going for the title and you're chasing the title, you're going to have mishaps. But it's how you put them behind you. And as he said, champions find a way to win. They found a way to win today, and they'll put that to bed. And he will say to him when he goes in the change room, I told you to leave it, but good job you went up the other end and scored.
They can have that conversation, and there'll be lots more conversations as well about Virgil van Dijk's comments about his contract, about his future at Liverpool. He said he's happy to be captaining the club for now, and let's see what next week holds. They'll be having lots more reaction to that and lots more reaction to Liverpool moving to within 6 points of a Premier League title on Sky Sports News and across our digital platforms. Up next, it's all about...
Talk about the performance, we'll talk about how the game panned out a little bit later, but just that scenario. You said pre-match today, it's about just winning. How you did doesn't matter. At this stage of the season, getting the results, these boys are getting ever so close to that finish line now, Ray.
Yeah, one thing that Liverpool have had all season is the goals in the team. That never say die attitude. And I've got to admit, in the last 10, 15 minutes, it looked more likely that West Ham were going to get a winner than Liverpool, just the way the game was going. But I thought they really upped it in the last 5 minutes or so. Liverpool got after West Ham, got their opportunities, and which led to the goal because we pressed it. pressed the ball. We actually sat off them a little bit, but we went and pressed it, got the corner, ball came in, and then Virgil didn't let anyone down. Powerful header beyond the goalkeeper to make it 2-1. And it was pure relief in the stadium. I don't think it was joy. Everyone was just like, thank goodness for that. That is 3 points closer to the end game, and the end game is winning the Premier League this season, and they're in a commanding position now.
Yeah, 6. Good sense it in Arne Slot. He came out and was more animated than we've seen him probably throughout his time at the football club in terms of reacting with the fan base. Everyone can sense we're almost there. It was a huge win and a huge goal from Virgil van Dijk to seal it.
It was a massive goal. I think we were almost a victim of our own tactics, trying to take the sting out of the game, trying to take the importance, trying to waste a bit of time and just, you know, stagger in with a 1-0 victory and get the 3 points. Obviously, West Ham go down the other end and Robbo puts it in the back of the net.
You look at the players in squads, and sometimes you think it can be a straightforward game or a foregone conclusion, but particularly in this league, but also at this time of the season, tension can creep in, anxiety can creep in, and it can impact on stadiums, it can impact on teams, and we're seeing that in some of the results, not just here, we see it with Arsenal as well. It's a whole different ball game, isn't it, at this stage of a campaign, Ray?
Yeah, but when you look through, there's different situations when the teams that are playing. Some are trying to win a league, some are trying to get into the Champions League positions, some of them try to stave off relegation. Others, you know, mid-table, mediocrity, they can't go up, can't go down, but they're playing for their futures. Because the manager and the owners of the club will be looking, saying, right, who can we rely on for next season? If we want to improve, who's the players that are going to get us to a situation where we're going to get better? What do we need to do to let players go and to bring in the right ones that are going to improve us as a side? So that was like you can. Kudos starts getting turned on and running at the Liverpool backline. They look much more of a threat. You could see them growing in confidence. They were looking at Liverpool thinking, you know what, they're easing off. They're sitting back a little bit. There's spaces for us to start playing and get at the Liverpool backline, and that's what they started to do. I mean, Alisson made 2 or 3 brilliant saves. Kept the scoreline as it was at that stage. Absolutely phenomenal. If they'd have got a goal a little bit earlier, their tails would have been up and they would have been right after Liverpool. As it was, I think when they went to 1-1, they were like, oh, that's not a bad result for us. You know, we might get another goal on the counter-attack because Liverpool weren't really closing them down. So the game really changed from, it was a game of 2 halves in many respects. I thought Liverpool, you know, were a lot of goals. But the second half, West Ham certainly come into a lot more.
As a former player, David, how do you explain the sort of difference in the 2 halves? Because so dominant first half, although we weren't peppering West Ham's goal with chances, we were challenging the goalkeeper, we had the woodwork, we were so in control of the game, we got in front, and then for second half, that level not to have been there until the closing stages. How do you, as an ex-player, sort of talk us through that and explain it to the guys like me who've not been out there in the middle?
Yeah, I saw it slightly different. I thought both halves were really similar. They were just West Ham were a little bit better in the second half than they were in the first. That was it. But I thought we were just trying to do enough all the time, and it almost backfired us. I remember times when I've gone to Old Trafford when they've been chasing the title, and there's tempo, there's energy, there's a winning mentality. When the ball goes out of play, they're running to get it. They don't just want to beat you 1-0. They want to beat you 2 and 3 and make it easy for them for the last 20 minutes. We were hanging on for the last 20 minutes, waiting, trying to waste time, taking 10 minutes to go and take a corner, a free kick, rolling round. It's effective. Obviously, you want to get over the line. It's like Ray said at the start of the game. 3 points is the main thing, but it almost backfired on us. What we want to do is want to put these games to bed, and make the substitutions with 20 to go and be in a comfortable position, because West Ham were there for the taking. They were a dreadful side, and they were there for the taking, but we didn't want to. We just wanted to coast through that game.
I suppose it's a difficult one when you've played a certain way to get into this position, and we have been about controlling the tempo, playing it at our own pace, not always with that high-octane style, and it's got you to such a commanding position in the league. It's then hard to argue against continuing in that vein, so to all of a sudden be more dynamic or to try and be more aggressive, and it maybe is counterintuitive to the players.
There's one word you've got to use now you didn't have to use weeks ago, and that's pressure. The pressure's there to win the league. That's what the pressure's on the Liverpool players now. Before, you were only getting yourself into a good position to try and win it, whereas now, because of the points gap between themselves and Arsenal, is the pressure's now on for you to get over the line, to go and win it. Not to lose it. You know, if you lose it from here, you know, everyone will be saying, what a collapse from Liverpool Football Club. So the players understand that, they feel it, they can sense it. I thought the fans got a bit edgy. They got a bit nervous during the second half as well, because they didn't quite see the intensity from the Liverpool players. They seen them making a few mistakes. They seen West Ham getting back into it. And, you know, as I said about Paquetá was getting up, he was threading little balls through. He wasn't doing that in the first half. So why was the big change in the second? Is because we didn't get on top of them. We allowed their midfielders to get more space, to get more time in possession of the ball, to get runners, which they weren't doing in the first half because our back line was in a good shape. But all of a sudden, they were getting in the areas where they could affect the game. Kudos was getting on and getting turned. He didn't do that in the first half. So why was the difference between the first and the second? Because we were dropping off. We weren't on top of them. We weren't imposing ourselves onto the West Ham players in that second half as much as we did in the first. Because we controlled it in the first half, controlled the tempo, controlled the pace.